Miss Victoria! I'll be going by tomorrow as well. Are you gonna be okay?
Tomorrow?
Yes! I'll be bringing Mom as well.
I don't mind her coming by, but Francis hasn't apologized to me about what happened the other day. So I'm really hoping that both you and Francis will actually consider what happened and take it seriously.
What? You're still talking about that from the other day?
I didn't want to bring it back up, but Minnie was injured from that. So I think it would be appropriate for you to apologize formally.
It's just something that happened between kids. Something is seriously wrong with you if you're gonna be bothering them like that.
Francis literally injures Minnie. You're not going to stop them at all, right?
Look here, Victoria. As someone who grew up in a nice household like you probably wouldn't understand.
What do you mean by that?
My parents never got along. They eventually got a divorce, and I was raised by my mother. I don't get along with my brother. After I got married, I haven't even seen him. He doesn't have any kind of relationship with any of my relatives. So I seriously just want to point out how I'm just a super lonely person that's been cursed.
I see.
So I get really frustrated when a girl like Minnie, who lives with no difficulties and lives a happy life, gets annoyed and bothered. So I don't think it's right to get mad at Francis.
I don't really get that logic.
Besides, Martha really gets along with Minnie. Martha is the older sister. Martha really is a good girl. So I can really understand why Minnie would get along with her.
That doesn't really follow your logic from earlier.
I'm someone who needs to be pitied. You really don't understand that, do you? I was raised in a household with no blessings. You would never understand. Considering you were loved by your parents and you get along with your siblings, you would never get it.
I feel like you're changing the subject here. You and your household issues, and the fact that Francis injured Minnie, are not really related to each other, are they?
I don't want Francis to have the same experience as me. So I've been working really hard. But no one notices how hard I've been working, and they don't realize how I've been trying to get all of my relatives to get along with each other, even when I don't like you. But I want my mother-in-law to go by your house because I want her to be happy.
You drive someone who can't drive herself, so I really do appreciate that, but again, I feel like you're staying off subject.
It must be nice being you. You only see her every once in a while.
Huh? She seems like a great person. I don't see how that's a problem at all.
You just don't seem to understand what it's like to never be loved by your real mother. That's why I decided I would pour all my love and care into her. And that's why you should be kind and take care of Francis and I. What is that attitude? You really need to think twice, just because she was injured a little bit. You are being too kind to Minnie. You should feel bad for Francis and I. You should really be nice to us.
What the hell are you talking about? Francis literally shoved Minnie off the top of the staircase. I don't think that's something to just shrug off. There was a cushion at the bottom, so she luckily didn't get any cuts and only bruises, but she still hit her head, and they had to run tests on her. You think that's something to just ignore and shrug off?
Are you having fun bullying me like that?
What?
Francis didn't mean anything by it. You really don't have to make a big deal out of it. You were yelling at Francis and getting in her face. If anything, I feel like you should be apologizing. Are you ready to apologize?
What are you smoking? Seriously? In that kind of situation, You really need to be teaching her a lesson and making sure she doesn't do that kind of thing again. Frances was crying.
How could you get that mad at a crying 4-year-old? Were you that angry? The only thing that crossed my mind is how you're seriously twisted in the head.
Excuse me? Okay, fine, whatever. Please don't ever contact me again. Huh? If you think that I made the wrong decision to scold your daughter, I want nothing to do with you. I don't want to deal with you either.
You don't have to put it that way. We're working so hard to try to get closer to you. You don't care about our happiness? You don't care about us? You don't feel bad for us at all?
I do feel a little bad for you. At least for Frances, anyway.
Well, what about me?
I don't care about you. You're about to be 40, and you're talking about how miserable and sad you are. I don't believe you, to be honest. And you live with your parents because you wanted to live with them. You didn't live with your family before, so you said you wanted to live with your parents to feel a parent's kindness. You convinced Mom, who wasn't really on board with it. You rebuilt their house into a duplex so that you could live however you wanted to live. How am I supposed to feel bad for you?
You don't have to say it like that. I don't feel an ounce of kindness from you. I don't have any freedom.
I'm not an idiot. You made Mom prepare all of the food. What are you talking about, living a tough life? And yet you have the audacity to sit here and pick and choose when they cook for you. And you leave behind food. I think you're actually the worst. That's why Frances always picks and chooses just like her mother.
That has nothing to do with it. You just don't understand.
What, because I grew up in a nice household? Was that your excuse? You always say that, so I'm starting to see a pattern. My father actually passed away when I was young, too. My father right now is actually a remarried dad. We had pretty tough times growing up, too, you know. There are no people in the world who are ever super happy all of the time. They just don't exist in the real world. So stop pretending you're this miserable little girl and ask for everyone to treat you like some kind of princess. It won't fly.
You don't have to put it like that. I'm the one that everyone needs to look after. I am the one who is most miserable. You just don't understand.
I don't want to understand. I feel bad for Minnie the most. She doesn't even realize what's going on. She just talks to her sister Martha, then Frances has to be jealous and shoves her off the top of the stairs. She has to be hurt.
It's because she took Frances' sister.
What? Martha's not Frances' sister.
Frances has known Martha long before Minnie has ever known her. But Minnie doesn't understand that at all.
Are you seriously asking a 2-year-old to understand social dynamics? Are you dumb? If you're not going to apologize, I'm going to be suing for damages.
Damages? When it's something that a kid did?
The parent is responsible for what the kids did. If that parent has no intention of apologizing, I don't think it can be helped at all. Also, I spoke to my husband and brother-in-law. Only a little bit, but please don't come over to my house for a while. Actually, just don't ever come over at all.
What are you talking about? How could you say such a thing to me? I wanted to make my kid have the experience with her relatives that I could never have. Why are you getting in the way of my effort to let her have a fulfilling life? You just don't understand anything!
No, you don't understand. I don't care about your efforts. You injured my child. You didn't even apologize for it. Something is seriously wrong with you. Please don't talk to me anymore.
If I don't drive, then who's gonna take Mom to see Minnie and Martha? Are you gonna rob Mom of her experience with her grandchild?
I would rather that than my child be injured. Also, my husband is also a capable driver. It'll work out.
You really want to cut ties with me that badly?
Yes.
We were able to be siblings finally. Why would you say such a thing? I finally started to trust you as my sister-in-law.
A second ago, you clearly said you didn't like me. Also, when are you planning on telling your brother that Francis isn't going to kindergarten anymore?
Huh? You told him?
Yeah, I figured that he knew about it. You wouldn't believe the look on his face when I told him about it.
I don't believe it. Why would you do such a thing?
Frances always hits her friends at school, so she's disliked. And apparently you were warned by the other moms too. She doesn't want to go to kindergarten, so you don't make her go, right?
You make me suffer. For what? What pleasure do you get from this?
I just stated a fact is all. I'm sorry you're suffering. I feel worse for Minnie. She was suddenly abused for some reason. She's the real victim in all of this. If you think you're that miserable, how about you pretend to be the damsel in distress somewhere else? Please, don't talk to us anymore. Goodbye. Nancy freaked out after that conversation and started throwing a tantrum around the house. Then she managed to injure her mom in the whole mess. Her husband realized the gravity of the situation. Her husband was warm and kind, so maybe Nancy was just being spoiled by that. Minnie was chased out of her parents' house. During the divorce meetings, Nancy was dissatisfied with the whole thing, so her husband had to take off work and go take care of Mom and Frances. Frances was apparently much happier as a result. The next time that Victoria met up with Frances and Minnie, she apologized like a good girl. Victoria had thought that if they just got a divorce like this, it would be better for Frances.